Have y'all noticed how wild and aggressive and forceful the energy of 2026 has been so far? Just think about what has happened already, and it's just March. And think about the initiatives that people are taking, and world superpowers and major entities are taking. It's pretty wild, right? So think about last year also. What was going on last year? Last year, there were huge burdens on the world, burdens that have been around for a while, but they continue. So much so that people have become sick of them and quite jaded by them and just want them to go away. And I'm talking about the wars. I'm talking about like the scandals. Which scandal I'm talking about. And there's a reason why all of this is happening, and that's what I want to talk to you about. Now, the Earth has a vibration, and the vibration of this year is a number one, and the vibration of last year was a number nine. Let me explain. If you take the numbers of the year 2026, 2026, and add them up, they equal one. So we are in a universal year one. That's why things are so aggressive and chaotic, and everyone's like doing a power scramble right now. So, in order to understand this and understand like the ending and beginning nature of a nine and a one, let's go back to a cycle that is already completed. And by paying attention to that and thinking about that, you'll understand what's going on now and what's to come. Also, at the very end, I'm going to provide you with just a little bit more information that will help you navigate this 1 year to the in the most beneficial way for you and you specifically. Not everybody, but for you. So let's go back to the last time we had a year nine and then a year one. This was 2016. So let's think about what was happening in the world in 2016, like major things that affect the world but affect everyone. So let's think back to let's think about 2016. What was happening in the United States? In the United States, they had grown they had grown wary of the political system. So much so, they were willing to accept controversial, non political candidates. So, you know what happened in 2016. It set the stage for Mr. T to come into power. And let's move over to Europe. What was going on in Europe in 2016? In Europe, there's a European Union, and it's a major economic superpower together, and a lot of them individually. The UK was trying to break away from the European Union, and what that showed was that the European Union may not have been as powerful and as strong, or any type of role model or example for the world to follow. Well, maybe they were, but it showed there was something going on inside their system. Their system was compromised in some type of a way because one of the main economic superpowers within that was trying to step away. Why would you do that if you got a good thing going? And also in 2016, there was issues with the money. The money was you couldn't trust it anymore. With the inflation and everyone trying to get a cut, and the middlemen that were between you and the money, they were taking bigger and bigger cuts. It came to a point where people stopped trusting the money, and they were considering alternative money that didn't really have any promises. So all of that happened in 2016, and 2016 was a 9 year. So let's talk about what a 9 year is all about. A 9 year is endings. I think it's kind of obvious from what I've talked about so far as endings, but it's so much more than that. Nine is a culmination of everything. And a nine, it shows endings, but it also exposes things that are not working anymore. And nine is a humanitarian type of a vibration or number, because ultimately the world's vibration is about the world taking care of itself. Because whether we're here or not here, the world's going to keep on happening with or without us. So let's go to what happened the very next year, 2017. 2017 was a one vibration year. Keep in mind, you add the numbers up, 2017, it equals one. So in 2017, and what is one all about? One is all about raw raw energy, raw starts, raw, fresh, chaotic starts. And the reason, and in order to understand the one, you got to understand the nine, because the one comes after nine. Now, a very simplified way to look at it is that because nine is the end, then one is the beginning. But really, nine can be just a whole system exhausted itself, or multiple systems exhausted themselves. So now it creates an energy vacuum, and one just rushes in all this fresh raw energy. So it sets a stage where it sets a stage in the world where people are scrambling for that power and trying to use that power to build something tangible for the whole next cycle to come, because it's the very beginning. So it doesn't necessarily start from where nine left off. It starts from the vacuum sometimes that number nine left. So what happened in 2017 with the United States? I just mentioned it, there was a new president and a new, very different president with a whole new style of being a president. And of course, that really kind of rocked the world, because the U.S. is a major entity, just like a lot of other countries are major entities and players in the world. We all feed off of each other. But in Europe, UK, UK broke away from European Union with the whole Brexit thing, and that reverberated across the world. It changed a lot. Like a lot of people that were using them as a role model, it made them maybe rethink their position and also rethink their business agreements. Not necessarily separate, but rethink things, because there's a huge change. And 2017, remember what happened with the when crypto just jumped onto the stage out of nowhere, and Bitcoin all time high, like a major, massive all time high, 2017, which showed that the money system had lost so much trust that people were willing to put their trust in a, a highly volatile financial asset, because the previous system had completely broken down. So if you see the pattern yet, nine is like the system's breaking down. We could also say finish, but the system's exhausting themselves. Things, you see that they're no longer working anymore. And then one is, after everything breaks down, there's fresh raw energy. And when you have fresh raw energy, it's going to be very chaotic, because everyone's trying to beat the other and put themselves in a position to be able to be to be able to function very well throughout that upcoming cycle. So that was the last cycle, the last 9 to 1 cycle, or 1 to 9 cycle. It was 2016, 2017. So Let's talk about now, 2026, universal year one. In numerology, it's called universal year. Now, let's go more in depth. In order to understand what this one energy is all about, we need to understand what that nine was all about and kind of reflect on what happened during that nine. So last year was 2025. 2025 was was the nine energy that we just came from. Here now that we're in 2026. Now, if we reflect on 2025, there was just a huge amount of burdens on the world, and particularly I'm talking about the wars. I'm talking Ukraine. I'm talking that there's conflicts in Congo and Sudan, in Africa, and there was the whole Gaza situation and the aftermath of that. And the world, what the world has seen this so much that everyone was just all jaded and just kind of sick and tired of dealing with it, to the point where they want to ignore it. You want to do something, but but at the same time you want to ignore it because you get tired of just seeing this every day, every time you turn on some type of media. And also on top of that, keep in mind, nine is a humanitarian number. A lot of the world humanitarian organizations like the UN and the Red Cross, they got overwhelmed to the point where they were reducing funding, they weren't getting enough money, and they were reducing staff. So these are organizations in the world designed for crises, and there's so much crises going on that they can't keep pace of it, and that's nine energy. So it lets the world know, because this is all on the news and is like it's force fed down your throat. It really exposed to the world that something's got to change. We really got to change how we're moving. And also last year, what else happened last year? A major thing in the world that happened last year. The whole Epstein thing and the release of all that information regarding that. It just kind of blew on the scene, right? So that was definitely some nine energy also. The release of all the information and the exposure, people getting exposed, and what that what that showed in respect to the nine was a system breaking down, something that we can no longer let go on anymore. We got to do something about this. So let's talk about this year, what has happened so far, and what we can expect going forward. And again, it's March right now for me at the time of this filming. Now, here are the things that are fresh on my mind. Depending on where you are, you have different things fresh on your mind. But I think they're relatable, so I'm going to use them. Now, we all know about the bold initiatives that the United States have taken, like what happened in South America with the kidnapping of the, about that, and what has happened with Iran. These are some very bold moves, and this is only month three, and also there's like I mentioned, I've talked about the number one being very raw power, and people trying to assert themselves and make new alliances and trying to get in a superposition for power. So there's world powers coming together, trying to position themselves even through alliances. Like for example, U.S. and China. I just read about a major summit or something happened that is dealing with trade and just various aspects of world domination, pretty much. So that's definitely some one energy. And If I talk about anything beyond this point, it'll go into speculation and predictions. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that. How about that? So what I'm expecting throughout the rest of the year is for you have to keep in mind that when like with this universal energy, what you can think about it or think of it as is how the major people in with power in the world are taking the initiative. So you probably think that you don't really have any power in the matter, but you do. You have plenty of power, but on the world stage and with the universal energy, your power lies in the group that you are a part of. For example, a government is one entity of power, but whoever the government is ruled by is another entity of power. So your power will lie in that case in the people, and that if you were trying to make some type of changes or assert some type of initiatives, it would probably be best worked through the people that you are affiliated with, that you are a part of. So another thing about this one energy is when the major powers, the major different entities that assert their power, whenever they assert their power, then there's always a reaction. So if there's a really aggressive assertion, then there's going to be a really aggressive reaction. That's how things work. So the rest of the year, you know, it's starting off like with the whole war tone, and like war is going to be a big deal this year, and assertions of power and rebuilding of alliances. All of this is going to be a very big deal this year. But governments and war isn't the only thing, and usually war is a result of some situation based on money. Usually, money is going to be the root of things, the root of people's motivation or big entities' motivation. So pay attention to the money. The money system is probably going to make a really aggressive change or surge in some direction. It's going to be quite chaotic, and some people are going to really benefit from it, and some people it's going to be an issue for them. Either way, it's going to be raw and chaotic. So just like all the other energy, it's going to be the money system is going to be raw and chaotic too. So pay attention to that. That's going to be a big one also. That's my prediction. And what can you do yourself in this? Not to be a victim or you know, where's your power in this as an individual, not necessarily a group. In order to know your power within this whole framework as an individual, you would calculate your personal year number. Personal year number is the energy and the force and the will that's guiding your life during that year. So the way you would calculate this number is you would take your birth month and birth date, add those numbers up, and then take the present year that you're in and add those numbers up, add all those numbers up all together. Let's say, for example, you were born January the 1st. So that would be a 1 plus the numbers in 2026, because this year's 2026. And what that would equal to, that would be a 3, a number 3. So in that case, if that was your birthday, then you would be a personal year 3. So in order to understand your strengths and weaknesses within this respect and framework, you would you could easily in this day and age you could go to AI and you could just simply ask AI in a universal year 1, how can a personal year three person thrive? What do they have to watch out for? And by doing that, you would be able to know some of your major some of your flaws and your maximum power, the places where you would probably get the most benefit from putting your energy towards, and also conversely, not putting energy in where that energy won't be used well. So that's my video. That's my video. And the examples that I gave to illustrate the ideas in this video, they're very general, and they're things that just really pop into my mind while I'm talking about them. But you can also add reference. You can if you know better examples, you can drop them in the comment section. Better coincidences, drop them in the comment section. So that's my video, and thank you for watching. I love and appreciate you. You have a great one. I'm gone.